Hi, my name is Gus from Gus's Custom Creations, and today we'll take a look at the new cross-stitch table stand, and we'll have a look at what you get in the box and how to assemble it. Okay, after ordering, what you'll receive in the mail is a box similar to this. I'll put the dimensions and weights for the parcel up on the screen now. Okay, once you've opened the box, this is basically the contents that you'll find. It's the stand that comes well wrapped and well protected and should arrive nice and safe and sound. So what I'll do now is I'll unwrap it, lay everything out here on the table, and then we can go through what's in the box and then look at assembling the stand. Okay, once you've unwrapped the stand and laid out the parts in front of you, you'll basically have the base, 2 feet, the upright, the horizontal arm, 2 front arms, a cross arm, and a support bracket. You'll also have 5 knobs, so you'll have a large square flower shaped knob, 2 large square 8mm knobs, and 2 smaller square 6mm knobs. You'll also have a selection of bolts, washers and screws required for putting it together. You'll have a couple of pieces of sandpaper for doing the maintenance, and you'll have a tool which is used in conjunction with the flower shaped knob should it be required. And now we will start to look at assembling the stand. We're going to need our base and our 2 feet to begin with. We're going to need just a Phillips screwdriver, and we'll have a look at the base a little more closely now. Okay, here we have the base sitting upside down. We can see that we have these 2 recessed areas that house the feet when they're installed, and at the same time we have these 8 pre-drilled pilot holes to accept the screws when installing the feet. In the centre of the base we have 3 holes. These 2 are for screws and have been countersunk to accept the head of the screws, and then this third one is slightly larger than these 2, and it's to take the alignment pin which is installed in the bottom of the upright. So from the top side we have the 2 screw holes and the alignment pin hole, which again is slightly larger than these 2. Okay, now that we've seen that one, so if we take the base, and we lay it down so that the 2 screw holes are closest to us and the hole for the alignment is furthest away, we can take our feet, place them down on top of the base like that. We can take our 8 small wood screws, and then if we actually look down through the holes in the feet, we can see the holes in the base, so we can just place the screws in there. Take the Phillips screwdriver and just run those in. They just have to be snugged up, nothing too tight. And then just do the same for the other side. And there we are. So that's both feet installed. So next we can look at taking our upright. And what we'll do is we'll take a closer look at this now. Okay, having a look at the upright, we can see that we have a recessed area here, which is where the horizontal arm will sit when it's installed to the upright, with a bolt through this hole. We also have this bolt sticking out of the side. This is to take the support bracket. On the other side of the upright, we have the hole here for locating and securing the horizontal arm. You'll notice that there's a square there which has been machined into the wood. Now this square is to accept the square profile here, which is found underneath the head of the bolt. Now that square profile should sit down inside that square in the wood when it's installed properly. So for example, like this, that's it properly secured or installed, but when it's sitting proud like this, it just means you have to rotate the bolt slightly until it drops into the hole. Then on the bottom of the upright, we have two pre-drilled holes for the screws here and here, and then we also have the alignment pin which locates into the base. Okay, so we've seen that. So now if we take our base with our feet attached, and there is our alignment pin, it goes into the hole, the alignment hole. We then take our two 40mm wood screws, start them in through the holes with a countersink, like this. Take a screwdriver, and again just run these in so they're hand tight. There you go, and that's all it needs really. So if you notice here, now that it's assembled, the long parts of the feet are pointing this way, as is the stud on the upright. So that's the correct orientation. So the next thing we'll look at is the support bracket. This has got quite a few holes in it, and it can also be installed onto this stud this way, or this way, and that gives a lot of adjustability to the height of the arm. So if we just put that on there like that, take one of our 8mm washers, and then take one of our 8mm square knobs, and before we install this we'll have a quick closer look at the knobs. Okay, here we have the knobs and the tool for the knobs. This is the one that we'll use to attach the arm to the upright. And here you can see on this face we have an indentation, a hexagonal hole, and a nut at the bottom. Same on this one. Now when the knobs get installed, this is the surface that should be looking out at you once you've got it tight. On the other side we can see that it's flat with just a small hole. That goes against the steel washer when you're installing it. And like I say, once it's tight, this is the face that should be looking at you. Now on this one we have some additional indentations on the side, and those are designed to be used with the tool just in case you need it. You shouldn't need it, but just in case you can't get it quite tight enough by hand, you can put that in there and those pins engage in those indents, and then you can use this as a handle to tighten it or loosen it. So I've also heard back from a couple of ladies who received their stand, and when they found their knobs they saw that the nut at the bottom had actually moved up and was level up here somewhere, and I can only assume that that's through vibration during transportation, because the nuts are just a press fit inside that hole. So if you end up with a knob that has a nut that has moved, you just simply push it back down to the bottom, similar to this one, and then once you tighten it up, the tightening will pull that knob, the nut, all the way to the bottom of the knob and seat it securely. Okay, so with the indentation facing out, we just install that there. Snug it up. Then we'll take a look at the horizontal arm. So we'll take a closer look at this now. Okay, so taking a closer look at the horizontal arm, we can see here that we have the side with the logo looking up, and this is referenced in the assembly instructions as a way to properly orient the arm during installation. We have the bolt hole for mounting, and then a slot which is there to allow adjustability to suit your working position. On the other side of the arm, we can see here the unoiled surface, and again this is referenced in the assembly instructions, and this surface occasionally will need some maintenance. So in the kit, when you get it, there'll be a couple of strips of sandpaper just to get you started, and we use this to abrade the surface just to roughen it up so that it gets a better grip. But it's important that this surface stays flat, so just thinking of what we can use to back up the sandpaper that generally most people will have, you know, probably something like a butter knife or something similar. So you take your sandpaper, just put it over the end of the tool you're using, take the unoiled surface and just gently rub it. It doesn't have to be too hard, just rub it like this, just to abrade that surface slightly. Blow off any dust, and then take a damp shop towel, such as this, and then just dab that surface like this until it's wet, and then just allow that to dry. It shouldn't take too long. And what that does is it causes the wood fibres to stand up slightly, which causes a slightly rougher surface, and then when we put that together with the other half, it creates a very strong connection. Okay, so now we've seen that. If we take our horizontal arm plus one of our two 8mm bolts, put the bolt in, make sure the square is engaged properly, make sure that the logo on the bird is facing to the left if you have it oriented this way. Slide that on there and just let it rest on top of the support bracket. We'll then take our second 8mm steel washer, place that on there. Take our second 8mm square knob, again with the indentation facing away from the washer. Install that like that. So again, the indentations are facing out. Next thing we'll look at is the cross arm. So we can have a look at this now. Okay, here we have the cross arm assembly. On the front we can see the Gus's logo. There's also a couple of slots that allow the front arms to adjust in and out to suit your needs. Here we have the second of the unoiled surfaces, and this one is maintained in the same way that the one on the horizontal arm is maintained. And on the other side we have a machined square for the head of the bolt to sit into. Okay, so here we have one last 8mm bolt. It goes in this hole. Again, we just make sure the square is lined up. We then have this unoiled surface and this unoiled surface. They go together like this with that bolt through the hole. We take the large 8mm steel washer, place that on there like this. Take the large flower shape knob, again with the indentation facing out. Install that onto there and just snug that up. Okay, and this tool as explained earlier, it can be used with this knob to just give it a little bit of extra tightness if required, and the same for loosening if required. Okay. Then we have our two front arms with the pegs. So we have two 6mm bolts, two 6mm washers, and two 6mm knobs. So we just put these on. There's 7 holes in here. Each of them has a small square again for the head of the bolt. I just stick it in the middle one for now while I'm assembling and testing the stands. So put that in. Take a 6mm washer, put that on there. Take one of the 6mm knobs again with the indentation facing outward and screw that onto the screw. Just snug it up. Repeat for the other side. Again, just make sure that the bolt is seated in its recess. Spin that up. Snug it up, and there you go. The stand is complete. I can show you now perhaps some of the functionality where these two front arms, they can be in close together. They can be out all the way to the end. They can be swung in, swung out, whichever way suits you really. Okay. The angle here can be adjusted by loosening the large flower-shaped knob, and then this will swivel backwards and forwards. And then this last knob here, it allows you to move the whole thing in or out, depending on how you like it positioned on the table. And then this whole arm will go up and down depending on where you position this support, using those holes and the reorienting of the brackets. So it's very adjustable, very flexible. But once you find your comfortable spot, you very rarely have to fiddle with it. Okay, I hope you like it. Thank you.